Welcome back to Shelf Talks, the podcast where we dive into the journeys of female founders who have taken their product-based businesses from idea to retail shelves. Today, we're turning up the heat with an incredible guest, Jia, the founder of HotPot Queen. Jia has built a brand that's redefining the way we experience hot pot at home, bringing bold flavors, high-quality ingredients, and the rich cultural tradition of hot pot to more tables across the country. She's created a brand that stands out in a crowded market, not only with the product, but also with some really bold and beautiful packaging. And I'm excited to hear more. Welcome, Jia.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on this show. I'm really, really excited to be here
Yeah,
today.
thank you so much for saying yes and coming on. So let's get started. Can you let us know kind of where you were before you started Hot Pot Queen?
Great. So actually, HotPot Queen is a two-generation woman-owned business. I really started like 42 years ago when my mother opened the restaurant. So I have always been in, I guess, food service industry, not really me, just my family. So 5 months after I was born, my mother opened a HotPot restaurant that can barely fit 3 tables. And that's kind of like the beginning of the journey of this whole spicy mala HotPot quest for our family. So I kind of grew up in a place, in like restaurants. My earliest childhood memory will be on the weekends. We will be like, my mom will have a meeting in her office in the restaurant, and I'll be doing my homework, and I can smell the hot pot just kind of like seeping into, the under the door, and we'll be eating hot pot every weekend essentially. And then I went to the United States for like high school. I went to University of Washington College, got married, and I decided to go back to China to take over a family business. But we have such a different, I guess, a way of seeing the world because I was educated in the United States. My parents are very traditional Chinese entrepreneurs. The taking over family business never worked out. So I ended up starting my own business that was a modern tea lounge. So that was how I redefined modern Chinese tea by introducing Starbucks-ish like environment for Chinese tea, and then we use like a coffee machine to extract tea shots. We call them cappuccinos. So anyway, so I started a channel Modern Tea Lounge back in 2010. That was kind of my first business venture. So that lasted for 10 years. And we actually raised a couple rounds of money. We even got investments from the president of JD.com, which is kind of like a equivalent of Amazon in China or
Okay.
similar. But that investment also caused some issues where I sort of lost control of my company. They took majority of the share because I was sort of one of the requirements. I ended up exiting the company 10 years later. So, and then I got 2 kids. And my husband was like, you know what, we're moving back to the United States. So we went from China back to United States. And I was like, what should I do, right? And I'm like really contemplating. And, I've already done business for 10 years. And I, be dealing with investors and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, if I were to do another business, I kind of wanted to try to not take outside money for as long as I can. I just really want to keep it small, keep it personal, but I really want to grow the business organically without having the pressure to expand because I take someone's money and I'm responsible for the returns. I wanted to grow a business that I feel passionate about. So I was really searching. And then, I used to live in the United States, right? And that was before 2008 for 10 years. I moved back to China for 13 years. I came back here and I was like, wow, I kind of feel the food scene changed so much. I go to Costco. I've seen so many Asian products. I just like blow my mind. And then before it was like, everything was more like a Panda Express, like American Chinese food restaurants, but nowadays they have like specialty food. They have ramen shops, dumpling shops, hot pot shops. It's like, whoa, people are getting really dive into like the culture and everything is changing. I was like, and then start seeing products like Fly by Jim, Momofuku, like all those brands are selling like sauces and they're doing really well. And that was like 2021. That's when I moved back. I'm like, we have been the mala expert, which is mala literally means spicy and numbing. In Chinese, it's a combination of Sichuan peppercorn, Sichuan chili to create that spicy and mouth-numbing tingling sensation. That's kind of the key profile of Sichuan cuisine. So we have been the Hapa expert, the Mala expert for the last 42 years. And we actually have our own factory in the hometown of Sichuan chilies. I was like, And I was like, yeah, well, maybe I can do something like that too. Why not, right? I mean, I got like the family history to it. We
Yeah.
got our own factory. And the reason why we call HotPot Queen is, oh, actually, let me ask you, have you had HotPot before?
No, I
HotPot?
haven't.
You haven't? Okay, but have
No.
you seen it, at least seen it online or heard
Yes.
about it?
Yeah.
So you have seen that when people go to HotPot restaurant, they typically serve you in a pot that divide the broth into two, one spicy, one non-spicy, right? That pot is called the yuanyang pot. So my mother invented that pot in
Really?
1982.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so before it was all spicy, and it was original cuisine, and she came up with the idea inspired by the two rivers that merging in our city, Yangtze and the Jiangling River. Anyway, she invented that pot. It was a really simple invention. About 5 years later, there was a 15-minute documentary about my mother inventing the pot by CCTV. So that kind of made it more official. Because of that, she was regarded as the queen of hot pot by Chinese media. So that's why I use a name. So I went back and said, you know what? Well, I don't know if I'm gonna do hot pot like right now, but I can do sauces. I can do spicy noodles. I can do mana flavor inspired products as an entry point to the U.S. market. And I'm gonna call it HotPot Queen. So it's
After
a
your
way
mother.
as a second generation, yes, to honor the family legacy, but same time entering a brand new market is to kind of like cave my or carve my own path. So I wanted
Yeah.
to kind of do it differently. She does a hot pot restaurant. She doesn't do any CPG products. So it is somewhat, I am in this food service industry, but CPG is completely new experience for me. Never had it before. And then that's the starting of HotPot Queen, I guess.
That's great. And I love that it's still connected to kind of like your heritage and how you grew up and your mother, but just in a different way, right?
Yes, yes.
So once you had that idea and then decided this is what I want to do, what were next steps? And especially since you said you hadn't even ever been in CPG, what were next steps to get it started?
So I remember I actually started the concept and start ideation of the branding and the idea doing the website. I think at 2020 to August. I mean, it took a year for me to really figure out if there's something I wanted to do, just to do some market studies. And then we just really first started with what kind of product we want to do. We decided to do sauces because it's something easy that it doesn't require a lot of education. And I already see that product exists in the market that is doing well. So there is a track record. So I'm like, okay, you know what? There is a market availability. Let me try it. And then I introduced the one pack noodles. So the noodles are something like I wanted people to try hot pot, but it's kind of difficult to make at home. But what if I make the hot broth into like ramen form? That people can make a restaurant quality ramen at home with a hot pot broth in under 5 minutes. So that was kind of introduction of our spicy hot pot noodles, the packaged noodles. And then we came up with two sauces, hot mushroom chili sauce and crunchy garlic chili crisp. So one is very umami rich, and one is like the Sichuan staple. So I was like, okay, first we're gonna do the branding, and we work with a designer actually in China. She's also a woman, to came up with the idea. There's a couple iterations. We decided on this one, and then we're like, we want a hot pot queen. The queen is not just about like my mother. It's representing the woman in my city. So basically, the women in my city are very famous in China. The reason why is that they have very bold personality, kind of like our flavor. They are like, I would say my hometown Chongqing is almost like a female dominating society where the woman's working hard. There is like 70% entrepreneurs in my city are females.
Really?
The
Oh, wow.
guys are kind of like taking stable jobs, like the breadwinners are women. So they have like a high status in the society, but they also have a like no BS, like a little bit of like a boisterous personality, I guess. So we want that personality to really shine through the packaging. So I want it to be bold. I want it to be like eye catching. I want to use like those bright
Bold
colors,
colors,
and
yeah.
so that's, and also the same idea come to our flavor. Our flavor gonna be like you try, you'll be like, whoa, okay, this is not like Americanized chili sauces. It's not like overly sweet, not spicy. This is gonna be like you take a first bite, you're like, whoa, this is like a trip to Chinatown, when I was little, or this bring me back the memory when I traveled to Asia. We wanted to kind of be like that. So after that, I'll be like, okay, now I need to craft the recipe. So I happen to know a chef in China. She was kind of like a friend of mine. And she recently moved from my hometown. She's from my hometown in Chongqing and to Yunnan, which is this area that's famous for mushrooms. So I was like, you know what? Figure something out. I wanted to have that Sichuan roots, but I want to incorporate mushroom because this mushroom is just such a great product. It's like, it's plant-based. It got like tons of nutrient value. Really something new. That's where the wild mushroom chili sauce came about. It is using all the Sichuan spices, but then she incorporate the wild porcini mushroom harvested in the high latitudes of Yunnan, also with shiitake mushroom. Chinese shiitake mushrooms a little bit different texture than American shiitake mushrooms. It's more meatier and it's more fragrant. So, and then we use dried mushroom and then to kind of like soak it in water, get all the moisture and chop them up and get into all the sauces. So the flavors are more intense than fresh mushrooms. So those are kind of like little tip ones. We got that, and then we're like, okay, well, that took a while. That took
How long
really
did that take?
Well, from August almost to February, that's the whole, try to get everything kind of ready, designing, website, mock-up, and flavor testing. Because I was in the US. And the factories in China, it took really long time to kind of go back and forth to send samples. So it really took about it's like a good 6 months, like 4 to 6 months to get everything really ready for market. And then I remember February is when we first have a shop on fair. So we started on fair actually, which is great. I started selling on fair,
How are you getting the word out? Like, how are you telling people about the product on fair?
Really nothing. I just have great pictures. And I just put it up and people start ordering. I mean, back then, there was no like ad listing. There's no promo option. There's nothing. Like really, we had 0 retailers. I literally just put up a site on fair and people start ordering.
Oh,
It was just
wow.
like that. So maybe it was kind of a category that people are already interested in.
Yeah.
And also, I think picture sales. I mean, I did spend a lot of money on those photos initially, but now I have found an agency that can take great photos without breaking arm and leg. Let me tell you, the first photo shoot, right? I started with like, okay, I'm gonna spend, I was like 3,000-4,000 for my photos. That was my initial budget. So I hired the photographer. And he was like, well, you need like a food stylist. I'm like, I do? Like, oh yeah. I was like, okay, I thought you could do it, but he's like, no, I just take photos. So I hired a food stylist, right? And then I was like, and the food stylist said that, oh, well, with, your requirement, I think I need an assistant. I said, you do? She's like, yeah, okay. Then she hired an assistant. It's 3 days photo shoot. And I was like, I really don't want to just photos. I want to like the hands. Also, I said, I wanted to be in the photo, right? I want to have people. And then the food stylist said that, oh, you need a makeup artist. I said, oh, yeah, that's right. I don't know how to do makeup. And the makeup artist said that, you know what? Do you know how to do wardrobe? I'm like, no. It's like, you need a stylist. Okay, then I hired a wardrobe stylist to borrow clothes from like different brands so it can dress me up. You know what I mean? Because I don't have those like crazy fancy clothes. Anyway, it's really fun. So I ended up spending 12K for 3-day photo shoot with all those things.
Oh my God.
So the photo look amazing though. I have like a picture of me, my hands are holding a jar of sauce with those like exquisite fake nails.
Oh, I've seen that picture.
Really, yeah, right?
I saw that,
It was like anyway, it was really
it was
fun.
really
So
beautiful.
I think those photos just sell. I mean, they're not like regular CPG photos where with like a like a light background or
I love
pop
that.
background. Like, I really try to,
Stand
create some
out.
So yeah. So
Yeah.
really start selling on fair. And then really our start of launch is March 8th, 2023 at Expo West. The day we went to Expo West is the day we launched our product. And the really funny thing is like, oh my God, I spent way too much money on my first Expo West. I had no idea that I could just buy like a background banner and get a table and that's it. I really thought that for every single booth, you need to build it out. So I hired a company to build out the booth. And everything was like a one time. There's nothing left because everything was cut. I had a bar. I built out a bar. I had a backdrop. I even rented a TV. to
Oh
play
my God.
like
To
the
play
promo
what?
video. No, I actually made a video. No, listen to it. I not just made a video. I flew to California to film that video.
Oh
Okay.
my,
Because
you're going all
initially,
out.
no, because initially I was going to do a launch on Kickstarter. And in order to Kickstarter, you need to have a video.
Right.
But then because I had an issue with my packages and the Kickstarter box didn't arrive until like a few months later, I couldn't do Kickstarter. So I had to do Expo West first and then give up on my Kickstarter idea. So anyway, I flew to California for one day. I actually flew in the morning, flew out like the night, the latest flight to shoot that video. And so I rented a TV to do the video.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, and the thing is, right? And I had a like all my neighboring booths. They just had like a backdrop and a table, and I was like, and they all look at me, be like, "So where are you sold at?" I'm like, this is actually our first day.
We just
They're like,
launched.
what? And I've seen the brand that's selling into like thousands of stores, right? And they're just doing the simplest setup. And I was like, I have no idea. I can do that. Anyway, so then I end up telling myself, you know what? It's go home or go big or go home. So, I had to hypnotize myself that is the way to go, right? And I had so many people came into our booth. Oh, I love your booth. We did stand out though. It was super colorful. It looked great. People came in. So how long have you been in business? Where can I buy your product at? And we're like, you are able to order online today, because it wasn't even it wasn't even ready until today, right? And we're not sold anywhere, and we're 1 day old. And they're like, what? And you have a booth like
And
this?
a video and
the TV and video, and like 6 people work at your booth. Actually hire people outside. I didn't even know that there's such a thing as I can give people a free badge, exchange for volunteer hours to help me out at the booth. I knew nothing, and I just went all out. Now looking back at it, okay, so I'm going to Expo West like next week. So I spend 6% of what I spent last time.
6%.
So, anyway, yeah, it's
Wow.
yeah.
So learning lesson for those listening.
Oh my god. So it now it's, I mean, yeah, I think launch at Expo West doing this really, really nice like eye-catching booth is great, but definitely didn't need to be that expensive. And I could have done it for like a quarter of the price to achieve that goal. I just didn't know I could do that. I thought every person is dishing out 20K to do a booth. I didn't know. I really didn't know.
Yeah. So what was the reaction from people and retailers that stopped by the booth?
It was actually great. That was the aha moment where I thought, oh, this could be a business. I mean, there was really nothing. There was no other place at the show, if you're asking, right? But that resulted in me opening, getting into shelves of Hagen, which opened to Unify. That resulted in me open Crown Pacific, which is my regional distributor. We don't have any retailer, but they loved our product so much. They're like, we're going to open account for you, which resulted in right now about 200 stores in Pacific Northwest.
Oh,
that
wow.
opened my distributor at Chex, which is at Northeast. They're like, you guys might be good for the fresh market. And then so they're like, we're just going to sign up first, and then we're going to go through the category review for fresh market, which we got in as our first retailer. So, I mean, and then I met, the first day I was there, actually it was the first day, it was like at 10 o'clock in the morning. I was so out of it. I'm not out of it. I just didn't really know what to expect. And this lady came in and she was looking around, and then I was like, oh, hey. And I look in the back, it's a world market. Somehow it didn't register in that it's the Cost Plus World Market, the one with 260 stores. It was one of my kind of focus retailer. I just didn't register. I was like, oh, so where are you guys based at? And how many stores do you have? She's like, oh, we're based in California. We have like 260 stores. I'm like, oh, you're the world market. And then so we exchanged contact, and that's when I met her. And the funny thing, so I've been kind of following up with her for 1 year. I literally like emailed her every 3 weeks just to, hey, new updates,
Yeah.
And it didn't really get much of response until roughly like 11 months later. And on March 8th of 2024, so which is last year, exactly 1 year I met her, and we had a video conference. That's when she told me that you guys are going to be our winter holiday kind of theme for HotPot. So we got into world market last winter, so last Christmas. It was, but that's all result of this Expo West,
Yeah.
the first launch experience. Yeah, I mean, it took really long. It took like 18 months, but I mean, if I didn't go to the show, none of those will happen.
Yeah. So it sounds like you did have a retail list when you went to the show of the retailers that you really wanted to connect with.
I mean, it wasn't really a list because there were just so many retail chains in the United States, like small and big. And I just knew some of the bigger ones, the ones in my city that I shop to. I mean, a lot of them I just didn't really know. I tried to remember them because I remember before that I was living in China for 13 years. So I wasn't very familiar with, the CPG industry at all. I mean, I didn't really go to supermarket outside of my states. So it's all new for me. But I did know Whole Foods, Sprouts, like Costco. I mean, those big ones
Yeah.
I did know, but not like specific, very small individual ones. So a lot of them were just like, oh, okay, well, okay, yeah, well, where are you based at? How many stores do you have? I probably offended some people. They were like, what? You don't know us? I probably did. I didn't even remember, yeah. It was just really funny because I remember prior to the show, right? Because we did have our product in the warehouse in February. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to email those retailers. So I just kind of like got some information off the internet and start emailing retailer. I think I emailed about 100 different retailers. I had a list. I probably got 5 or 6 sample requests, and then that's it.
Didn't hear
Nothing.
anything.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I really felt discouraged. I thought that how do I ever get their attention? And I just didn't know how, like why no one responded. Like, did they even get the email? But then look back, right? The email's kind of stupid too because I realized it was all about me.
You didn't talk about the product?
It's all about like the brand, not about the retailer. Like the email, it was all like, hey, I have good news, oh, we're launching next in April. People are like, I don't care, you're not even launched. Why are you emailing me? It's like we're available, and it's like, where's this and that? There's like none of the relevant information that we really need. It was just more about self, So if I'm a retailer, I look at it and be like, I'm not gonna respond to this people. They're definitely Rockies. They're new. They don't even know what they're talking about.
Right off a brand that no one's even seen before.
Exactly. I'll be
Yeah.
like, exciting news. You start with, hi, exciting news. We are
Yeah.
blah 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 based, and we're launching next month. We want to present you with those products. No one is excited about this news.
Oh my gosh. I think too it's
Yeah.
great because at the expo you actually get opportunity for people to trial your product. They can see the packaging. You can talk about it versus just talking about it through an email or sending samples to somebody that's going to try it whenever they have opportunity to try it.
Absolutely. And I think what really surprised me is how much people love the product, especially the wild mushroom. I mean, at first I was just like, oh, just try it. For the second, third day, I was so confident. It's like people walking by and I'll be like, hello. They're like, hi. It's like, this is going to be the best mushroom sauce you ever had in your life. They're like, I never had a mushroom chili sauce. I'm like, well, this will be the first and the best. And they're like, do I really want to try? I'm like, oh yeah, you do. And you want it. And then they try it. And I'll be like, I tell you, right? And there will be people walking by. I just hand them the sample. And then they will be trying sample, start, continue walking. And I will be talking to my, team member there. Watch, he's going to come back. And then this person will be walking. I'll be like, what is this? And I'll say, I knew you're going to come back. It was that good.
Yeah.
Like the response was just phenomenal. And people just really, really enjoyed the product. So that kind of gave me a boost of confidence.
Yeah. And it sounded like definitely a win for helping you get into some retailers post that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So once you were able to get into retail, I guess the first question is, it sounds like you were able to get into a distributor. So you were starting to get into a number of stores. How did you prepare inventory to make sure that you could support all of those additional stores that were now being added to your portfolio?
Actually, I ordered too much inventory. So basically, right, I didn't know. I mean, obviously, I didn't know what I was up against, like how many stores I'm going to get in. So I ordered a small container of products which now think about is a lot, right? I think it was like 6,000-7,000 units
Oh, wow. Okay.
of jars per each. And I was like, I'm gonna sell, right? And then February rolls around, March rolls around. I think I sell like, I don't know, 200-300 units per month. I was like, oh, there's no way I can sell all of this into all those places. Everything takes time. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that there's a category reviews, right? Like if we get in, we do the review now, we won't get it until 6 months later. I didn't realize like everything, this industry, it just takes really long. Like, so right after the show, I talked to, for example, my local distributor, right? Like Crown. And they're like, okay, yeah, we can get you on board. I'm like, great. And they're like, well, typically take about like 5 weeks kind of to get everything set up. I was like, 5 weeks?
You're like, I thought it was tomorrow. I thought it could be.
No, I was like, 5 days already considered really long, right? I was like, why do you need to set up? But, it really, I guess from the time we start talking and to get everything set up and to the first order, yeah, it was actually longer, 6-7 weeks. It's really taking long. And then I think, but it was all like a small independence for check or for Crown, right? And then we had a Checks, which is also a local distributor that's based in Massachusetts. But they didn't really place any orders until they wanted to know if we can get into fresh market, which is their biggest clients. So they're like, I'm not gonna put an effort into this new brand to kind of promote their product to independents unless they can land my biggest customers, right? And then so we got it. So they helped us get into the category review interview. I think it was in April, May. And then we got the confirmation at end of July. And then we shipped the product to them in October. But the problem is, right, it's like my product was like already, it had like a 12-month shelf life. So by the time it arrived in February, but in fact, it was manufactured in December because it takes 2 months to get here.
Yeah.
So, and you need at least 6 months or more retail shelf life before it hits the stores. So by the time that I can ship my product to the fresh market, it's already
expiring,
short dated. Yeah. Exactly. So, and I had so much inventory like in May and June, and I knew I couldn't sell it to my biggest clients, which is a fresh market. So I had to get rid of them. So I actually, for the first shipment of products, I sold it to TJ Maxx, Ross, and grocery outlets, all 3 of them. So I sold all of my inventory out at a big discount. So the first batch of product order basically didn't really land into any of the major retailers. It all went into the kind of discounted retailer shops because just couldn't make it for the tag.
Yeah.
There were so many problems, and that's just scratching the surface. I didn't even touch on the problem with labels and leakage.
Oh God.
Oh my God. Oh, anyway, the first year it was so hard.
Yeah.
Because I started business in China, like say 16 years ago or 14 years. It wasn't as hard. I didn't remember being that hard. The first year I was in this CPG business with HotPot Queen, it was hardest year since I started doing business. I was at the borderline depression. It was constantly worried. It was losing money. Like I just didn't really know what I was doing. I talked to so many people and I was like, is that really me? Is there something wrong with me? Why does it take so long to get an answer? Like why there's so much waiting in the process? They're like, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Like you just gotta be patient and wait and be gently, like be consistent, but gently consistent, politely consistent, like following up. I'm like, oh, okay. I really thought like is something the way I'm pitching is wrong or our product is not good. I really didn't know what, like it was me or it was this industry.
No, definitely. I think, you're right. It is a slow process because there are only certain times of the year that, there's opportunity for you to get on shelf. And if you miss that time, you have to wait. In some cases, some people do it every year. So then you're waiting the whole calendar year to get back in front of the retailers in order to be on shelf. So process definitely is not fast.
I know that now.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more patient now than before.
Were there any like tools or groups that you utilize in order to help kind of understand and learn the processes to help you get through?
Well, At first, I just didn't know where to start. So I just really did a like online search, like CPG consultant, really like the keywords on Google.
Yeah.
And I came up with this this lady, Ainsley Morse. So she's great, and she actually worked at a CPG, started a CPG kind of company, and she worked at the retail. She's actually based in Canada. And then she's kind of providing that consultant services. So I hired her for 6 hours. I pay her like hourly, so it's kind of like a package. I could afford her this comprehensive package, but I was like, can I just pay you for like 6 hour package? She's like, okay. So she really was like early on, really kind of helped me to at least understand the basic, like how much should I price my product, like how to create a sales sheet, how should I email people, and who are the retail accounts I should be targeting? Are those the right kind of accounts? Like it really kind of helped a little bit. But I mean, again, 6 hours is not a lot of time. You can answer some major question, but it cannot handhold you through the process. Like I just can only get the like brush stroke, right, basically. And then I think I was really on my own, like try to navigating the space, learning kind of the hard way until I think the summer of 2023. So it was like about like 5, 6 months after launch. Then I discovered startup CPG. So I didn't know about them, and I was like, "What? There's a community of people that they share resources, they ask questions. There's a Slack channel."
Right.
And I didn't know until that summer, and then that kind of opened a whole new world to me. And then I became kind of like an active member. I will ask questions on the Slack channels, and then I realized, you know what? This is actually my husband told me. He's like, Jia, you need to be on LinkedIn. Because before I was like, what do I do on LinkedIn? I didn't even know that you can post, like blogs and articles. I was like, what can it? Before my first thinking post was like some, industrial news that I'm making comment with. And I mean, it didn't get anywhere, right? And then I started looking why people write about themselves as entrepreneurs, right? Right? People, talk about the journey. Oh, wait, why don't I write about that? And then I start kind of writing about my journey, my challenges, my small wins, and I try to be as honest as possible. And I start getting some viewership, and people start interact with me. And that's when I start to get to know few people in the CPG space. It's like, I knew someone that's a designer. I knew that other founders just kind of like me started, in the startup kind of space, CPG
Yeah.
space. And then we became friends. So now I actually have a group of people that we meet every month online, and then we kind of vent. We talk about the challenges and
That's great.
the questions. So we just kind of meet like every month and just talk
Yeah.
and be the support and just try to be supportive.
Yeah. It doesn't make you feel so alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. So with going back to Fresh Market and you getting into that store and you pitching to them, what did that pitch look like? Did that person that you hired in order to help you kind of understand CPG, did they help you with the pitch, or was it something you created on your own?
Yes, definitely. The consultant definitely gave me some ideas of what a pitch deck should be like. I also had to do a lot of research online, kind of trying to find some examples. But good thing is that because my family has a business in China still, my family, like my parents, their company have a designer on retainer. So I was able to utilize that for free.
Nice.
And I was able to exactly right. I don't know how to design myself, and I can't really afford it here. So now I just sort of find some examples and I just send it to her because the designer who designed my package is also expensive. So I was like, I can't use her either. I'm just gonna use some free resources, and I just kind of say, hey, copy this style.
Yeah, this is
And
what I
do those
need.
kind of idea, right? So the initial pitch was just really simple. Talk about like the family history, like why it's called HotPot Queen. There's a picture of me and my mom when I was like, I think 4 years old, on a bike. People like those stories and pictures, you know what I mean? Those like black and white back in the day photos. And then I kind of talk about what is this mala flavor distinguish our products with a competitor. We talk about our factory. There's a picture of our factory. We talk about how like Whole Foods, they say that the mala is a new trend. We talk about how the Asian specialty category is on fire, and then how a little success on fair. I think at the time I had about 40, 50 stores that's selling our products on
Oh,
Fair.
wow. Okay.
By the time we were, I think in May, I think it was early May when we had the interview. So from February, March, right? So it's like 2.5 months. It was pretty good. I mean, I had like a 40, 50, and I had all the dots on the map. It looks like a lot. So it was like we call it early retail success, you know. And I was able to have a little bit number to say like how many units they order. I mean, 2-3 months, right, each time. So something there was not a lot, but something that I was able to ask some of those fair retailers to send me pictures on their shelf. So I have some placement photos on there. So that was like very early on. But really, I think it's just my passion, the product. And I think the category manager of Fresh Market, she tried it, Brittany, and she really kind of I think she liked the packaging, she liked the flavor, and she decided to give us a try. I'm forever grateful because that really opened the doors. There was other retailer at the time we're talking to. They're like smaller scale, 15, 20 store retailers, and they were like kind of on the fence and they didn't really respond to me. Like I, keep emailing until Fresh Market said yes. And then I emailed them. I say, hey, we just got into the Fresh Market, in October. And literally a day later, they responded, oh yeah, we're still interested. We have, we just been busy. Before it was like, we're too busy. But all of a sudden they're like, we're busy, but we're interested still. So I really think that did open doors. I mean, nobody wants to be the first. Nobody wants to be the guinea pigs. They want another slightly bigger retailer to say yes, to kind of show that this has a market potential in order to kind of bring a brand new, CPG brand into their shelves.
Yeah, definitely gives validity.
Yeah.
So once you were on shelf, what were early sales? What were customers saying? And did you get the results that you expected?
Well, I think it's still work in progress because, the thing is, right, I've noticed we have a really good reorder rate and I noticed we do really well on demos. So when people try the product, they love it. And then right now I didn't do any D2C advertisement because it's just really organic growth. And I just really see people ordering not just one jar, almost never get an order just for one jar. They always order one of each. Or like I had people order many people order like 3 or 6 jars at a time. So meaning those people are not the first time customer. They must have tried it offline somewhere. And they're like, oh, I don't want to go to the store. Well, but but they have those things online because we do have more product lines online than offline. And then they would just buy one of each and try it, right? And then we have great reviews. So I think early on, I really try to do demos, at least for the local market. I unfortunately didn't do any demo for Fresh Market because they're so far away. But I did do a lot for like Town and Country and the retail shops nearby in the Pacific Northwest where I live. And I would say, so basically the rate is about 70% sample to purchase rate, meaning that 10 people try the product during demo, 7 people will buy something. So it was really effective, and that was kind of the way. And I did purchase some end cap display opportunities to kind of help with that discovery. So those are the things I've done. I would say that when I do demo, the velocity kind of goes up really high. Like I think the best I've done one time during 3-hour demo just by myself, I've sold like 70 jars of
70?
70.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was the best. But average is about 35 to 40. So I do sell a lot. And the thing about my velocity right now is like 1 to 2 per week. I sell 1 to 2 units per week. And during one time demo, 3 hours, I can do 35 to 40. So it's like a huge difference.
Yeah.
When you do that. But it's not scalable, unfortunately.
Right.
So this year I try to put a little bit more focus on D2C because I realized that when I have more exposure online, people can recognize the brand. It really helps with offline as well. And the people can discover online and they can also buy in their local stores. So, before I couldn't do that because the warehouse I had could only do like wholesale orders very well. They couldn't do D2C orders very effectively. But I just moved to a new warehouse. Now I can do both. So that's kind of my focus this year to try to expand to D2C.
Got it. Okay. So are there any things from Fresh Market's perspective that you do to help drive awareness and sales?
Well, so I am trying on some user like UGC, like retail driven Instagram posts, where
Okay.
people
Yeah.
go to the store, like showing, oh, at the fresh market. And I also spend not a lot, just a couple thousand or sometimes even less on Instacart promos. So right now, fresh market is still the biggest customer on the Instacart. I mean, right now we're available about 400 or 500 stores on Instacart, but like majority of them are Fresh Market and some other chains. So I try to do those things, and also like I said, like I will do quarterly promos, like scan backs with the display case, the end cap, or the daily display, counter display. So those things help, but they are expensive, so I can't do a lot of them.
Yeah.
I just really hope that as time progresses, that people try the product, they love the product, they can tell more their friends, they will do repeat purchase. Also, I'm trying to add to different category that can have a higher velocity than sauces. Because sauces is like our sauces are kind of big. So basically the other brands on the market right now, I consider, like similar brands, they have usually about 6, 7, 8 ounce jars. The largest 8 ounce jar, ours is 10.58. So for around the same price, you're getting 30% more in volume, which means it takes 30% longer to
More
consume.
time. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it takes like a 3 to 6 months to consume a jar of sauce. So that's why this year, actually starting end of last year, my focus was to sell noodles. And the noodles is like a single serve. And you take it home, you try, you like it, and you buy it again, like next time you go to the grocery store. So I think that trying to create more products that has higher velocity, and that's kind of the goal moving forward.
Yeah. That's smart. And that definitely makes sense. I think too, I mean, your packaging is so bold and so beautiful. I think it definitely as well draws the consumer's eyes to say, what's this that's new on shelf and pick it up. And to your point, if there's opportunity to taste and trial, that also leans into just a better overall kind of like engagement for consumer prior to purchase.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I also came up with a sample jar, like a mini jar that's 100 gram. It's one third of the large size. So I'm like trying to this year finding some collaboration opportunities where people can buy something, they can get this jar for free,
Yeah.
or they can just add like $3 more just to get that jar. And I think when people try it, and then the likelihood them go back and then to buy the regular size is very high. So that's another thing that I'm trying to figure out how to. I mean, the idea is really increase the trial. So when people try it, it's much easier to sell than me just trying to kind of push to them, oh, buy it, buy it, buy it. They're like, why?
Right, right. No, great. I love that. So, what's next for the brand? Any exciting launches, retail expansions on the horizon?
I don't know if I can say this. We are planning something pretty big towards the end of this year because it's not definite. It's under review. Yeah, I can't really say much. Yes, I am looking forward to getting into bigger retailers, inside of retailers, and trying out different things at the end of the year. But for us, definitely, I think that offline retail still my primary focus. I'm more focused on the West Coast and the East Coast because I have two warehouses now, one in New Jersey, one in California. So I'm trying to try to saturate the market that's closest to my warehouses first. Those kind of my retail strategy. But at the same time, I really wanted to try different ways to drive D2C sales because at the end of the day, retail is expensive and the cash flow is not good. You gotta wait for a while. And if I can have both of them kind of marching forward at the same time, that really helps solve the cash flow issue.
Hmm.
At the same time, I get a lot of consumer feedbacks like online. I get like reviews and people will tell me what they think about the product. And I mean, it's just fun for me to try, and I think it's something I'm kind of excited about just to see how this product will do, online.
Yeah.
And I think our noodle, I think sauce is a little bit harder because it's like a glass jar is heavy. and it's kind of hard to show like the sauce. I mean, I guess you could, but for noodles, especially spicy noodles, right? You see like those wiggly fat noodles drenched in the spicy oil. You're slurping them. You're like, oh, so good, it's so hot. I mean, I can see this being like, very easy sell that makes you want to eat, especially you're looking at night, right? People are usually hungry, their mouths are lonely at night. They want to eat something, flavorful. So, and I want to get on TikTok shop, which I haven't yet. I wanted to try to use this influencer marketing. I'm gonna try also direct mail coupon. You like coupons. And there's so many different things on my list I wanted to try, and starting to try them out. I think late March and early April after Expo West. So I'm really excited about that and see where that will take me.
I love that. Just real quick, can we go back to, I know you mentioned it for a quick second, but when it came to you actually launching product in store, you talked a bit about the labels and changes that you had to make. Were there changes from a product standpoint that had to be made? And was that more of the retailer requesting those changes?
Oh yeah, we actually changed quite a bit. Well, I changed formulation, the flavor. It was way too spicy before, and had to kind of tone it down a little bit and increase slightly more sweetness, so it balanced out the flavor. Second, I changed like the package. You can't really tell, but like if you put the old package and new package side by side, you can see that the font, the text font is changed. The name even changed. Before, our classic chili crisp is called the Chongqing chili crisp, and changed it to crunchy garlic chili crisp. Because I realized no one knows what Chongqing is. I mean, it's my hometown. I know. I care, but nobody else does, right? This thing about like a founder, like we just kind of in our own bubble and thinking like everyone like is into what we're into, but that's not the case, right? It's like nobody know. A lot of people can't even pronounce it, So then I changed it to crunchy garlic, and then because the name changed, now that product is the best selling product out of all the sets.
Oh wow!
Just because, I mean, think about everyone loves garlic.
Yeah.
I mean, crunchy sounds good. Crunchy garlic chili crisp, right? So the name become Tingly Mala, like Tingly Mala, crunchy garlic chili crisp. And before it was Chongqing chili crisp. That was the name, right? And then we made the crunchy garlic big and chili crisp small. So there's like a small changes. And before, just for that product, the color ratio was really off, like really difficult to see the name. So I had to redo the whole label over. But good thing I did that for the fresh market. So by the time it hit the fresh market, it was a good label. Also, I have to change pack size. So initially, one case came with 12 units. And then it was heavy. It was kind of, when you're shipping a case, it's easy to kind of leak. And then most importantly, I didn't understand the concept that for retailers, right, they want the cases to be small so they can try it. Also, when they think about your brand, they're like, oh, we sell about like 2 cases per week or per month, whatever. If you have a 12 unit per case, that become, oh, we did sell about 0.5,
Yeah.
It doesn't sound good. So then that's actually a really good feedback I got from Ainsley, which is my consultant. She's like, you should shrink it down. Try to do like 6. So now we have 6 units per case, but in a master case of 4. So it will be 24 units per master case. But retailers, they will order small case, units of 6, and the distributor will order units of 24, which is the master case. So that works out. But before, I didn't have master case. It just had a 1 12 unit single case. Also, there was lots of problem with leakage. Oh my goodness. There was it was 10% of the product that came the first batch.
Oh wow.
Leaking. And when the oil leaks, right, it doesn't just contaminate that jar. It basically leaks to the whole box, and everything around it is affected. And before I had a 12 units case, means that if 1 or 2 leaks, the whole case is gone. Like it's gone. And I had lots of returns, and then I had a problem with fare, And I used the 3PL warehouse. It's not in my garage. I couldn't do that in my garage. So I couldn't check every single case, like if they're leaking or not. They just send it out as it is. And when the retailer receive it, and they're like, oh, well, it's leaking, and they will ask refund for the whole case.
Right.
So it was super duper challenging.
How did you resolve that? How did you make sure that go forward that you weren't going to have those leaks?
Okay, so it took like 3 rounds. The first, it was just regular cap, right? We tried it, but the cap, it was just not very good. So then we changed a new cap manufacturer. When we changed it, they were like, okay, well, I don't know if the new one's gonna work, right? And then the manufacturer, the cap manufacturer, was like, you know what, you could add a white paper, on there, and to make it tighter so it won't leak. I'm like, so basically you put an insert, right? I was like, okay, I can put an insert. And then I decided to add an insert. This is the second batch, and this is a batch that goes to fresh market for the very first time. But the problem is that as an unexperienced entrepreneur, right, I should have done testing. I should have really kind of I guess, verify if this method was going to work. But I just kind of went with my gut. I was like, before, the reason why I was leaking, because it wasn't tight enough. So if I add a paper insert in the middle, you make it tight, it should work, right? But the problem is, right, the manufacturer had a protocol after they produce the sauce. It's like when they produce the sauce, right, they tighten it, they will turn the jar upside down for 24 hours to see if there's leakage. And what happens when you have a oil resistant but not oil proof paper that was soaked into hot oil for 24 hours? The paper gets basically disintegrated. Then when you turn it back upside down, right, you open the jar, every single jar, like the paper is basically sort of had a I guess leak through, or what you call it, right? It's soaked in oil. Okay, that make it look like it's contaminated. The worst yet, that paper has English word written, "Seal for your protection." Oh my god! So
I'm glad you can laugh about all of this stuff now.
I know. Okay, let me tell you. The product was safe to consume because it was sealed from the outside. When you open, you can hear the vacuum seal. But the problem, when you open it, every single jar, before it was 10% leakage rate, right? This is 100% of the jars you open. There was this oil stained paper that looks like it was contaminated with oil. It says seal for your protection, was not sealed because it wasn't sealed. You would just put it on top of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And oh my god, I didn't realize that issue until the second shipment arrived, because I didn't know they turned the product upside down. I didn't know the factory didn't think about it. They just did whatever they did before, which was fine, right? Before it was just a metal jar, a metal lid. And then when I received because when the product arrived, I will always order a case or get a case at my house and try it, see if the flavor matches. Every single jar open was like, what is this oil thing? What happened to this? Why is every single the insert is broken? And then I found out that's what happened. Oh my god, that's why I was telling you I was borderline depressed. Because that I realized I tried to solve a problem for that 10% leakage. Now I have 100% bad product. Well, not a bad problem, at least at a problematic from the consumer's eyes.
Right.
And I had no choice but send it out to the fresh market. There's nothing I could do, right? I can't order a new one because that will take 2 months. And then this product arrived at the end of September. That's when I realized the problem. And I have to send out the first week of October. There's no time. So I just had to do it. I just sent it out. I was hoping that it's not going to be a huge issue. But the thing is that every time I open myself, I'm like, if I'm a consumer, I'm going to complain. What is this? They wouldn't understand what happened. They'll think maybe they're going to ask refund, return. Basically, the whole, I guess, the latter part of that year, right? Before another shipment arrived without that problem, I basically had nightmares, constantly. The nightmare was I got an email from Fresh Market. They're going to recall my products. I was just every morning I woke up, the first thing I do is check my email to kind of try to wake myself up, right? Or else I couldn't wake up. And then I was excited to see the email and scared at the same time. I wanted to see a new order landing in my box, right? But at the same time, I was scared to see someone gonna write the complaint about this thing, right? And you know what's amazing though? It was 10,000 units of product that had a problem, because it was 5,000 units of each sauce that had this issue. I only received 4 emails regarding this issue, and none from Fresh Market.
Oh, really?
It was, yeah, right. I got like a 2 complaints from Fair and 2 from like online customers. Not even, I don't even know what happened, but no complaints. It
Oh,
was
wow.
so weird. I got super duper lucky. And then I went like super obsessive with how to make sure this does not leak.
Yeah.
So I added a foil in the middle. So instead of paper, actually a sealed foil. And then I shrink wrap this whole thing. So not just before it was on the cap. Now it's like I shrink wrap the whole thing from the top to the bottom.
You're like, this is not going to leak ever again.
Yeah. And then I add extra, like I made the box like double the thickness. Before it was like one tier corrugated box. Now it's like 2 tier. Anyway, I just did everything. And then that pretty much solved the problem. But it didn't really solve the problem until I was the beginning of last year, beginning of 2024. So, but for that whole year, I was dealing constantly with like leakage issue. While doing testing, right, it was so funny. So I had to do different tests, right? I had a different jars. I submerged them in water to see if there's bubble coming out. I bought, okay, so there's those like weight loss machine where you step on it, it shakes, right?
Yeah.
I bought one of those and I put a jar onto like a box on top of those like a the weight loss shaking machine for it to shake. Like 1 hour up, 1 hour down, 1 hour like sideways to see if they leak. I had people in China put a jar of the sauce or sample in their backpack and walk around the town for the whole entire day and then see if it leaks. Oh my God, you have no idea like how many trials I did just try to make sure this never ever happens again.
Yeah.
It was like the worst 3 months of my life. Like I was constantly worried and I was just scared really,
Yeah.
And then I had to do demos with those products in the store because they look perfect on the shelf. Nothing until you buy it.
Yeah.
We open it, you're like, what happened, right? And then I had to do demo and the people love the product, they will buy it. And I will feel like a fraud myself, being that, oh, I sold them a product, or so excited. When they go home, they'll be like, oh, is this product bad? Or what is this?
Yeah.
So, and that feeling of like, I had to do this. At the same time, I don't want to do this. I almost want to discard all the product, but I know they're good product. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But it just looks bad.
Visually, yeah.
Visually, oh my gosh. I never ever want to do that again. So now I'm obsessive with new products, making sure there's no issue.
Now I get why. I think you did like a sample box and you sent it all the way to China to make sure that nothing was like going to damage and all of those things. So was that happen after the fact when you were like, I need to make sure that everything is...
No, that's before. Anyway, no, that's a different story. Okay, this is a story is like, remember I said the product arrived in February before Expo West, right? When first launched, right? So basically, January, that's when this container was in the ocean, and that's during Chinese New Year, right? And then right before Chinese New Year, the factory like emailed me saying that, oh, we just discovered something. I'm like, what? I discovered that the label that we printed, right? That the mushroom sauce, which is my bestseller or my favorite, like our key product. There is no ingredients printed on the label. I'm like, what are you talking about? There is ingredients. So what happened when the print company print, right? So the way they print it, I guess the design is by section. Somehow, I don't know, they made a mistake. We gave them the print file with all the information on there. They might have actually deleted the module where there's ingredients label, like on that module. So there's no ingredients, there's no allergy information, there's no like distributed from which company. So that whole section, there is a nutritional facts, but anything underneath that is gone. They actually did it. And then the thing is that the printing company didn't discover it. They just sent it. The manufacturer didn't check it. It was in the contract to check it. They didn't, because it was right before Chinese New Year where everyone was like ready to go home.
Yeah.
So, and then we didn't even get checked on the costume from China out. So no one checked it somehow. And it was on the way in the ocean to United States. And I was like, there's new ingredients list. Like, how is it going to get into United States? And then I called every like freight forwarder, custom broker that I know. And I finally found this broker. They're like, oh, we had a similar issue like that before. It's like, really, there's a three possible outcomes. The first possible outcome, they're like, okay, we check it. We're going to let you go to a bonded warehouse, their approved warehouse for you to relabel them. The second option is that we're going to ask you to return it back to China to redo the label. Arrive here in February.
Oh my gosh.
All the way back to China. The third one, that they will basically destroy your product at the port. But they say, right, there's a 10% chance they will not even check your product because, right, it's like, not every single product got checked by the port, the custom, the border. So, but it's like, that's unlikely because they're not really busy right now, and they most likely will check. This is a brand new company, first time entry into the port of Los Angeles. And oh my God. Okay, so when I discovered the news until the product arrived at the port, it was 10 days, right? During that 10 days, there was nothing I could do. It was in the ocean. I didn't know what the possible outcome was. I couldn't do anything. I mean, I could find a warehouse time that who can do the label, but nothing could do. I could not sleep. I think I lost so much hair during that.
I'm sure.
And I didn't know what to do. I was constantly spaced out because I was just like, that feeling your heart sink to the floor. That's how I felt. And I had Expo West already paid for. Remember, I spent so much money. This is like talking about end of January. There's no time. There was no time to make a new product to get here on time for Expo West. And I was like, I didn't know what to do, right? And guess what?
They didn't even check it.
So I was so unlucky with so many things, but at the same time, I was so lucky that all those things happened to me. Somehow it just resolved by itself. So they didn't even check. So then I found another warehouse, which is not bounded. It doesn't cost that much money to print the label and put the sticker on. So during the Expo West's first batch, all the product had a little sticker on it. The same color. I mean, I guess you could tell, but not really, You can tell the sticker because you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
The sample, the fresh market buyer received, it has a sticker on it. Oh, the ingredient.
Oh my gosh.
Man, yeah. So the first year, it was so tough. I had so much problems. So I would say last year was like a breeze. So I really enjoyed it because I had so much things I had to deal with the first year. Mostly the packaging problem, color label problem, like leakage issues and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's why I was dealing with all that kind of stuff, and there was no retailer that was signing me until I got a confirmation at late July. So during the time, basically for 7.5 months or 7 months, it was not much going on. I had all those product with issues. I have like a whole container, like almost 20,000 units of those sauces. I didn't know what to do with. But luckily, I was able to sell to the other retail shops. I actually met them at Expo West too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, another win at Expo.
At the time they gave me the business card, I was like, I don't think I'm being interested, right?
Right.
Yeah, I was super interested.
Right?
Yeah, and not just sold to one. I know, I sold to all three, to get rid of all the inventory. So I sold all of my inventory, I think, at end of June. And I was out of stock because I didn't have anything until like October or the end of September. And that's when the insert batch came.
Happened.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've had some real lessons though, I think, in regards to those early months and in the first year really of all of the things that now I'm sure you're just more educated on how to like make sure those things don't happen from a forward perspective.
Yeah. Now I was never a perfectionist type of person, but now after going through all that, I just keep reminding myself, I do not want to go through that ever again.
Right.
So I have to make sure I double, triple, quadruple check to make sure, because I live in US and the manufacturer's in China. Like when things ship out, I can't change it until next time. And I have to order a tons of product every single time. It takes 2 months to get here. And I have to figure out how to sell those products. If they have an issue, that's, that really take a long time. to kind of fix it. It's not something I can fix right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a journey.
And I didn't even start to tell you about the boxes, but it's okay. That's another story. It's
That's
something
another
similar.
story.
I wanted to launch a Kickstarter, but the gift boxes didn't work out. I had to basically pull the product from the port of Shanghai out. It was already at the port, ready to leave. I had to get someone go in to take all of the product with boxes out, bring it back to my manufacturer to redo the boxes, because
Wow.
I realized the boxes was not going to hold up all of the product inside. It was too flimsy, basically.
Yeah. Lots of learnings.
And by the time the box was redone and got here, and I realized I don't even want to do D2C anymore. And I can't sell those boxes to offline retail channel. I actually end up discarding all those boxes at the end of December because they're just taking so much space. And I have to pay all the storage fees. And I had to pay tons of money to get rid of them because
you had to pay for
really
somebody
big.
to throw them away.
It was it was this big. Yeah, it was really pretty. Actually, I had a box here before, but not anymore. I could have showed you.
Yeah, I saw it on Instagram.
I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
If that's the same one.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's the same.
I mean, you definitely have had a lot of challenges, but it was great to hear because I think in many ways you were able to like find a solve, right? And get out of it. And also kind of, like you said, understand like how to go forward to make sure that those things don't happen again as you're continuing to build out your brand. So can you tell us now where people can buy HotPot Queen? How can they follow you and continue the journey? And of course, support you as well. And buy.
Well, I mean, easiest way is go to hotpotqueen.com. That's where, since I'm trying to improve on my retail D2C, you can just go there. Actually, it has all of our product lines. A lot of offline retail shops, I don't want it to bring everything in, especially with Unify, because, there's performance matrix. And a lot of times I don't know if it's going to work. So then I want to try online first.
Yeah,
and
smart.
Then bring it to offline. Definitely online is the easiest. You can follow me on Queen of HotPot. It's not HotPot Queen. Couldn't get that name. On Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, it's all same, Queen of HotPot. And also, people can find my name, Jia Liao, Liao, on LinkedIn. You can also go to our website, go to the store finder to find the store nearest you.
Perfect. And I'll make sure that I link that in the show notes.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you, Jia. Yeah, thank you, Jia, so much. This has been like a really fun conversation.
It's really fun to talk about the mistakes
now,
because
right?
I've done that. Now, back in the day, it was not fun at all.
I'm sure
but
we'd
now
probably
it's
be
fun.
here crying if it was back in 21. But I appreciate you and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I had a really good time.
Oh, good.
Yay.